I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and my family lived there for probably 3 or 4 years. And as a young man, I think I was about 7 years old, my family moved to Michigan City, Indiana. My first experience in school in Michigan City, I still remember being at this little school called Park Elementary and becoming very close with my teachers. We stayed in Michigan City, Indiana until I think I was probably about 8 or 9. And then my family moved to Pontiac, Michigan. I finished elementary school there. I think I left Michigan City when I was in the 5th grade, and we went to Pontiac. I was in the 5th grade when we went to Pontiac, and I ended up going to middle school, high school. The year I graduated from high school in 1958. And I don't know if you ever heard the expression that a teacher affects eternity. You can never tell where their influence will end. And I had one of those teachers really that affected my life. Her name was Tamara Ellsworth. In Pontiac at the time, the schools were racially identifiable. They were basically segregated. But I was at a school called Jefferson. And Mrs. Ellsworth, Tamara Ellsworth, was a white teacher who wanted to work in the segregated schools. And she was just a phenomenal teacher. Everyone simply loved her. And she made me believe that I could do anything I want to if I believed in myself. My self-esteem was always off the chart because if Miss Ellsworth said I could do it, I could do it. And eventually, I knew I liked young people. I knew I liked kids. Education was always important to me. After my freshman year, I really decided that Tamara Ellsworth had impacted my life to the degree that I knew I wanted to be a teacher. She followed my career and maintained a close relationship with me. And I always led a crusade every year, even when she retired and she was up in age. I wasn't the only student that she impacted their life. She impacted the lives of a number of others. And so once a year around June, we would always have a special celebration luncheon for her to recognize her. She passed away about 7, 8 years ago. And then that was our last celebratory event for her. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And I started focusing my direction, my goals, my desire in that direction. So I was married when I went to college, gave up the scholarship. They paid $47.50 tuition. Came back to Pontiac. My wife and I got an apartment. I started teaching in the Pontiac school system. I taught 5th grade and 6th grade. So I left after 1 year, came back to Pontiac. And when I came back to Pontiac, they appointed me back as a principal again. So I was a principal for another 3 years, I believe it was. And we packed up and moved to Jackson, bought a home, and I served as I think I was the first African American to serve in central office at the superintendency level. I think I was 38 years old and got my first superintendent's position in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And that was the beginning of a long journey as a school superintendent. And I think you probably know that I was a school superintendent in Benton Harbor, where I ended up with another school desegregation case. Accepted position as superintendent, the federal court came down with a decision that said the Benton Harbor School District must desegregate. And I had to lead a major school desegregation. And so the federal court found the intermediate school district and the state guilty. And they had to become part of the remedy to resolve it. And left there and came this direction and ended up being the superintendent of the schools in Ypsilanti.